I remember when I was 25, and I felt like I was constantly falling behind on my finances. I had just a little under $1,000 saved up, which seemed like almost nothing compared to what I thought I should have had. Everywhere I looked, it seemed like people my age were talking about how they had $20,000 saved by the time they turned 25, and here I was, barely scraping together a savings account. But let me start from the beginning. I wasn't exactly living extravagantly. I didn't have any debt, which was a big relief. I didn't have student loans, credit card debt, or a car loan hanging over my head. I wasn't the type to spend a lot on unnecessary things either. My expenses were pretty basic: rent, groceries, utilities, and the occasional night out. But still, I couldn't seem to save as much as I thought I should. I did have some money invested in stocks, and I was contributing to my 401k through my job. I wasn't completely financially clueless, but I was starting to worry that maybe I wasn't doing enough. I was living in a low cost of living area at the time, so that helped keep my expenses down. But I had big dreams of moving to New York City within the next year or two. I knew the cost of living there would be much higher, and I couldn't help but feel anxious about how I'd manage that transition with such a small amount of savings. So I started doing some research. I read books, watched videos, and even joined a few personal finance forums online. I realized that while saving a lot of money early on is important, everyone's financial journey is different. There isn't a one-size-fits-all number that you should have saved by a certain age. It's easy to compare yourself to others, especially when you see people around you hitting certain financial milestones. But I learned that it's not always a fair comparison. One thing that helped me put things into perspective was understanding that having no debt was actually a huge advantage. I didn't have to worry about monthly payments on loans or high-interest credit card debt, which meant that any money I saved could actually go towards my future goals instead of paying off past purchases. That's something not everyone can say, and it made me feel a bit better about where I was financially. I also realized that my 401k and investments in stocks were a big part of my financial picture, even though they weren't liquid assets that I could easily access. I had been contributing consistently to my retirement account, and while it wasn't a huge amount, it was growing. The power of compound interest meant that my money was working for me, even if I couldn't see the immediate effects in my savings account. Still, I knew that I needed to increase my savings if I wanted to feel more secure, especially with my plans to move to a more expensive city. I started by setting small, realistic goals. Instead of worrying about having $20,000 saved, I focused on saving an extra $50 or $100 each month. I cut back on some non-essential expenses, like dining out and buying new clothes, and redirected that money into my savings account. I also started looking for ways to increase my income. I took on a side gig doing freelance work, which brought in some extra cash that I could put directly into savings. It wasn't easy balancing that with my full-time job, but I knew it was worth it for the peace of mind it would bring. As I started to see my savings grow, I felt more in control of my finances. I wasn't where I wanted to be yet, but I was moving in the right direction, and that's what really mattered. I learned that personal finance isn't just about hitting certain numbers by a certain age. It's about making steady progress towards your goals, whatever they may be. I also came to understand that living in a low cost of living area had given me a bit of a cushion. My rent was affordable, my daily expenses were manageable, and I had the opportunity to save more now, before moving to a more expensive city. I realized that this was a good time to build up my savings, so when I did make the move, I'd be in a better position to handle the higher costs. When I eventually did move to New York, I felt much more prepared. I had built up a decent savings cushion, continued contributing to my 401k, and had a plan for managing my expenses in the city. I wasn't rolling in money, but I felt confident that I could make it work. Looking back, I'm glad I didn't let the pressure of having a certain amount saved by a certain age get to me. Everyone's financial situation is different, and it's important to focus on your own goals and circumstances. I learned that it's okay to start where you are, even if it feels like you're behind. What's important is that you're taking steps to improve your situation, no matter how small those steps might seem. So if you're feeling like I did, remember that it's okay to be where you are right now. You don't need to have everything figured out by a certain age. Just keep moving forward, make a plan that works for you, and don't be too hard on yourself. Personal finance is a journey, and everyone's path looks a little different. The key is to keep learning, keep saving, and keep working towards your goals. Thanks for watching. Subscribe Money Island for more new personal finance stories.